and she can join in. All right, we will call to order this meeting of the Park City Board of Education today, November 17th at 4 p.m. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Aaron, would you like to do this?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We'll start with 2.01 consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the regular session minutes of October 20th, account payable registers of October 9th, 14th, 15th, 20th, 23rd, 27th, November 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 11th. Land trust amendments, the at-risk assessment definition for the district, personnel information, sabbatical leave request, and October expenses and revenues.
I'll make a motion to approve as read.
I second that.
Okay, is there any discussion from anyone on the consent agenda?
No.
No.
Okay, all those in favor of passing the consent agenda, please say aye.
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 Okay, that is 4-0. We will move on to PCEA and PCCEA reports. Jen, anything from you or Aaron?
I know.
Jen gets to go first today.
Okay.
Aaron always gets to go first.
I brought someone with me today. Jen Bramson, PCCA, and I brought Maria Villar. Tomorrow is Educational Support Day throughout the United States, and I wanted to have an opportunity to bring in Maria, who is an outreach coordinator, to just share with you what some of our ESPs are doing that go beyond every day, and I think the outreach coordinators really exemplify that. So I just hope that she can spend a few minutes telling you kind of what they're doing, as this is still a fairly new position in our district, and I think you all need to hear about that.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, and I have a copy here of some of the bullet points that I'm going to be talking about. Is that okay if I share it with you?
Of course, yeah.
I can, oh, further. Thank you. So, well, my name is Maria Villar. I'm the outreach coordinator for Jeremy Rancho Elementary School. I'm here representing our team. There is 7 outreach coordinators in our school district, one in each school. And we came to the district as a member of the community, as a parent, and now as an employee. So this is a very united team. We share ideas, we assist one another without hesitation, and we call ourselves the Musketeers of the school district because it's one for all and all for one. And this is an unbelievable, efficient, and needed team. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read some of the tasks that we perform. Not all of them are included in this document, but it's just some of them. The duties, we as our outreach coordinators always ensure that confidentiality of sensitive and privileged information is maintained. Some of our duties are as follows. So we serve as a district coordinator between external community partners, schools and families, assist parents and families in utilizing community service and resources, such as the Christian Center of Park City, Youth Family Service, Park City Community Foundation, Youth Sport Alliance, Peace House, People Health Clinic, after school programs, the University of Utah Park City Behavioral Health Clinic, and many more. We are the first line of contact for the families to explain programs available, to help them in obtaining assistance, to include getting them out of abusive relationships, and to include legal service to the families. Coordinated legal service, of course. In addition to this, we have developed a trust with the students that when they have a crisis, to include harming themselves or being victims of abuse, we are one of those trust persons many of them contact. We also assist in helping families with medical service appointments, communicating with doctors and mental health providers. We assist in guiding them through the Utah Workforce Service and many other services available for them. We are also the first one that the teachers contact to assist in solving behavior problems. We explain to the student and parents school policies and procedures. We support administrators explaining established disciplinary guidelines. We coordinate. We receive, store, and distribute donations to students and their families, from winter clothing, shoes, bicycle, food, furniture, personal care items, etc., helping them to maintain their dignity and quality of life. We assist in coordinating mental health service to student and family members, refer students and family in crisis situations to determine the degree of priority to be seen by the counselors or therapists. We serve as an intake point for student wellness concern. We track and communicate to the parents the student progress. We coordinate with the student counselors, teachers, and help to explain the parents the section 504, special accommodations, and the individual's education programs. We translate for the parents also when they have to. We keep lines of communication open between parents and school during remote learning. We instruct parents and students for effective access to the different platforms, resolve issues and concerns. We provide personnel with feedbacks. We coordinate and conduct parents' interviews, assist parents with completing forms and applications, facilitate parent-teacher conference, serve as interpreters, and offer translation services. And I want to say that even when the outreach team all of them speak Spanish, we serve all the students in the school district. So we have, I believe right now, 4,861 students. So our service is available to all of them. However, we have 800 students that speak only Spanish. Bueno, they are Spanish speakers and their families speak only Spanish. And right now we are helping around 400 families to avoid eviction. And we are happy to do that. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of our shoulders. We have an amazing team supporting us. And we do it from the bottom of our heart. And we also receive complaints. And we try our best to solve those issues, address those with our principals, and avoid that those issues reach out to you guys. So this is what I have right now. There's many other tasks that we perform that is in our job description. But thank you so much for your time and for knowing what we do. And thank you so much to Dan for giving us the opportunity to address you guys and share what we do. You're very welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I
thank you
just
very
think
much.
it's important that you all hear from our ESPs and what it is
Yeah.
that they're doing.
And I think, when we talk to different community partners, whether it's the community foundation or the city, they definitely value your input more than you probably recognize. And so I would just urge you to continue to be loud with the community partners and make sure that they're aware of what you need. And you guys are in a very unique position to be interacting with the families who need the most help. And there's a lot of resources in this community that can help the families. So continue the great work. And I think if you need help with any of navigating with any of these community partners, use the board, because we interact with a lot of them as part of our work. So please reach out to us and make sure that the rest of your team knows that they can reach out to us to help navigate and connect you with all these other organizations in the community. Because it's really important, and it's even more important this year, with the housing insecurity and all of the things that are going on. So please keep us up. And I think, given your position, you definitely have the best information of anyone in town who wants to help, and that's important. So.
And at the end of the document, I include all the outreach team and their contact information in each school. So also for you, if you have any question, please do not hesitate to contact us. We are going to address that the best we can.
And hopefully come budget season, we will look at what they're asking for and remember that social equity is one of your big goals, and so supporting our outreach coordinators is very important.
Yeah, no, it's obviously one of our big ones. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Webb.
Put Ann at the table.
Put Ann at the end.
Yeah, even closer.
It's like she's a
Hi, Ann.
Could you move Ann?
It's like when you have like the dead dog, you know, at Christmas dinner.
I miss, yes. And he or whoever's talking. Okay. Yeah. They're very close.
Can you hear me? Well enough?
I can hear you, thank you. Yes, thank you.
All right, thanks for having me, guys. PCA is proud to report that we're nearly 300 teachers and nurses strong, with over a dozen new members this year. We formed the following committees to strengthen communication across the district and utilize the skills of our members in positive, productive, and student-centered action. Benefits. Established to form our members of the host of ancillary UEA and NEA benefits, from free life insurance to home refi programs to magazine subscriptions. Member education and recruitment to preserve and share institutional history. COVID task force to track data and issues related to COVID. Member wellness to promote the emotional, mental, and physical well-being of PCA members. Community PR to build relationships and partnerships with parents in the community. And diversity equity to examine issues related to diversity and equity within PCA and PCSD. In addition to committees, we're hosting office hours style meetings at every school site and for some departments. Special education is tomorrow. We have started a weekly newsletter, monthly all-member meetings, and a solutions-focused document for tracking concerns. Why? Because we feel that we are better together. We're not engaged in divisive actions or dialogue. Lasting change comes through collective effort with a broad group of stakeholders. We were only able to negotiate a new licensed agreement and compensation contract with the entire team. Administrators, school board members, teachers, the community. Another example, at one of these office hours meetings, we learned that Trailside PTA paid for air filters with the HEPA filters for every single classroom. We thought that was a great idea. We took it to our PTA at Parley's Park Elementary, and Kim Abbott and Caitlin Wignowski said, "Oh yeah, we can totally do this for you, and let's partner up with PCEF, to help the cost of some of the filters that we'll need for the replacement filters." So that's just an example of how we can come together as a coalition. We'll continue to work with the whole team as we navigate an incredibly complex year with multiple learning modalities, layered mitigation, contact tracing, schedule adjustments, and strong emotions. Again, because we are better together. In short, we're committed, we're strong, we're focused. A few brief points on policy. UEA has asked the governor's office to close secondary schools in high transmission areas from Thanksgiving to Christmas. Our UEA representatives at this point do not expect the governor to make this a statewide mandate. We did survey our secondary members on this issue, and 29 out of 37 respondents support the idea. Either way, this decision should be made and will be made with the whole team: PCEA, staff, the school board, administrators, the health department, and the community. It should be made with an eye on the big picture: what is actually happening in the schools, what is actually happening in the community. The potential repercussions of decisions must also be taken into account. There are pros and cons to any schedule or any system, and sometimes reality plays out differently than what we want or expect. And as always, we can and should continue to engage in reflection and reevaluation and make adjustments if necessary. On to calendaring. We cannot speak for all, but we think the parents and teachers will like the 21-22 calendar option A or B. Both have 2 days of fall break. Graduation is held on the last day of the school year. I think people will like that. Option A starts on a Friday, and I think gives teachers a little bit more time to prepare for the school year. I personally like that. And in summary, we call upon the community tonight to unite and work together for growth the way the majority of our teachers have. Support one another by limiting social gatherings, wearing masks, and staying safe so that we can stay in school. Engage in solutions-based conversations and actions. Assume positive intent. If things don't go exactly your way, it doesn't mean you haven't been heard.
Be completely transparent, open, and honest with your intentions. Be centered on student success, and be better together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's first, Mr. Canner? Dr. Hahn?
Good afternoon. This is our board report for the 20th of October.
November.
17th of November. I should adjust that. I'm pleased to report that our operations continue to flow smoothly despite the many challenges we're going after. Our families and dedicated staff are keys to making this work, and we really appreciate their efforts to keep us in school and keep us safe right now. On the buildings and grounds front, I want to just remind the board and the audience of the layered mitigation strategies that we have in place as a district to help us mitigate the COVID virus in our schools. You know, our basic our masks, our spacing, hand washing, now with our touchless faucets and sinks are all working very well. We're fogging the rooms nightly with a hydrogen peroxide, very safe formula that's recommended for schools. It's proving to be very effective. We're doing it also in our buses twice a day between the runs. Our desks are positioned as far apart as possible, and we're cleaning those regularly with extra support from contract staff that's in place. And we also really recognized early on that the virus is air transmitted. So we concentrated early on with mitigation strategies that focused on that. So in terms of our carrier system that allows us to move air past our filters more frequently and at an optimal rate, through our UV towers that we just purchased to help us kill virus that might be lingering in the air, to portable HVAC scrubbers that we can push into a classroom. All those things work together in a layered strategy to help us address the issues. And then we also have our push down to the students and educational part that the kids have all been taught on these procedures. We have cohorts of children who move in unison so that if one kid gets sick within that group, we contained the problem within one cohort and we can easily trace and eliminate the problem. We've got directional flow in our hallways. We've got an effective contact tracing program. Our quarantines have been working. If you look at our health time model that's on the website, when we do see a spike, we're able to identify the problem, quarantine the children, and the spike comes right back down. So we feel that we're doing an overall very good job despite the many challenges that are here. But the one thing I want to emphasize, just as Aaron did, this season coming up with the holidays and the social mixing that's going on as we're all moving indoors, this is not the time for us to drop our guard. It's the time to actually step up to the next level and support each other, making sure that we keep this place safe and open as best we can. We did add just recently to help with some of the mitigation efforts, kind of a novel approach to viral mitigation, and that's UV light towers. And we purchased 4 of those for the district. We have one at the high school, one at the junior high, one at the middle school, and then one we can push between the elementaries. And they're about 6 feet tall. They've got 8 UV bulbs in it, and we can push them into a room that might have been contaminated we're concerned about. We can put on that light for 15 minutes, and it kills all the virus that the light rays come in contact with. So that's another very visible tactical piece that we can use to help us mitigate any strategies or any problems we might have in the classroom. As I mentioned before, we've reprogrammed our carrier HVAC control system to now, as the weather has cooled down, to kind of optimize the air movement past our filters to capture as much virus as we can, but also to ensure that we're not just shooting dollars out the roof and out the chimney. So we've hit that sweet spot. Todd has done a great job of getting that stuff reprogrammed. We had to defeat some of the mechanisms that were designed to help us efficiently run furnaces to optimize to make the choice of airflow over the filters ahead of economies. And we hope that the public will recognize that comes with a significant price tag, and the board and the community has invested in that service. So we're very proud to have that done. On another positive note, we had one of our community members had some professional basketball stanchions that they were needing to get rid of, about 700 pounds a piece. Todd and his team moved those from the citizens' home site to the trail site where they've been installed inside. That was a very nice thing also. From a transportation perspective, things are going well. Our space available services have been noted as open to as many people as possible. Mitigation strategies appear to be working on the buses. We're starting to get healthy again with our employee numbers there and hiring that's going on. We've moved 2 new candidates to our training program and they're on the line now. And we're continuing to advertise for new drivers. So we're thankful for that process. Child nutrition services, as the board is probably aware, that yesterday was the first day that we put in place the free program for both lunch and breakfast for all our students, regardless of their status. And that will continue on through the end of the school year. It's a program that actually will be a little bit financially advantageous for the school district, the compensation rate by the USDA. And we're seeing in our peer districts about a 15 to 30% increase in the participation rate in schools for school lunches. So we're hoping that we can reach that many children here and provide additional food security for our population. On human resources, we just completed an RFP for sub-services, for a management system for substitutes, and that implementation process, selection occurred, and the implementation process is underway right now. And we're working now also with looking at a number of options to give us a self-testing option within the school district, perhaps in conjunction with some of our neighboring districts, perhaps in conjunction with the county. But we've got 2 grant applications out there to help us fund that, and a couple different sources that we're considering for this service, in addition to a commercial state contract source that can give us kind of the soup to nuts testing program purely in the district and a pretty reasonable basis. So we're exploring that. That's all I have today for the board. If you have any questions, happy to try to answer them.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very comprehensive,
No,
thank you.
thank you, that's
Thank you.
phenomenal.
Well, for my report this afternoon, I want to briefly share with you some details from our Park City School District Instructional Continuity Plan. So I've prepared a couple of slides for you just so that you can follow along. My goal is to briefly share, so if there are additional questions, then you can feel free to answer those at the end. One thing that we really know for certain is that emergencies are going to happen, but unfortunately, we can't really control when they happen or where they'll occur. And it's impossible to create a tailored response for every kind of potential emergency. But there is an opportunity for us in the district to make sure that instruction can continue when students need to be home because our schools are closed. Now, this has actually been part of a long-term goal. If you remember, we had similar conversations this time last year, talking about what might we do to be able to utilize our one-to-one technology program in the event of inclement weather or a storm or an emergency. So that work began this time last year. And after some learning this spring, we know that it's really critical that we have a detailed plan for students to learn remotely from home in the event of emergency. I do want to be clear, we are very pleased of the way that things have been going this year in our schools and the opportunity that we have to be face-to-face for instruction. And this is not a foreshadowing of things to come. This is simply just an opportunity to be able to share with the board and with our community that we are prepared to be able to provide remote learning for students in the event of an emergency closure of our schools. I want to acknowledge the work of many staff who collaborated together to create and revise this ICP. If you recall, last spring we organized 8 task force groups to help us focus on returning to school as well. The task force was instrumental in reviewing a draft that we had provided. Additionally, they helped us create a family survey so that we could have input from families who were learning from home at the time. You'll see these task force members came from throughout our district, from many roles and from every school. Additionally, our administrators have shared the ICP and a video describing the items in the ICP to our staff. And we've been collecting additional feedback from them to understand how we might better design this ICP. We think of the ICP as a living, breathing document because it will continue to be adjusted as we use it and we learn from it. There are really 3 key aspects to the ICP.
And it begins with equity and access, as is the mission of our school district. For example, we can't consider remote learning if we don't acknowledge that every student needs to be able to have a computer to log in and the internet to be able to do so. Regardless of all the planning that we do, if we can't deliver on those promises, we can't really have an ICP. So I want to acknowledge the efforts of the members of our technology department, our technology coaches and educational technology specialists, as well as Mr. Frink and Mr. Stout, because last spring, these team members really stepped forward to help make sure that not only were we sending devices home, but that we were seeking out and determining families that would need additional support. Special thanks to our outreach coordinators. This is just another example of the work that they are doing to help us be able to make sure that students can learn from home. We also received information that we are going to be receiving an additional grant that will allow us to be able to continue to make sure that we have Wi-Fi devices in those homes so that families are able to access the internet. From there, the ICP continues to focus on how we plan and deliver remote instruction and how we intend to support students and families in an emergency. So in addition to the devices and the internet, it's important that we have consistency throughout the district with respect to the software programs we use for remote learning. So this year, we focused on utilizing a fewer number of programs to be able to reduce confusion at home. Our second graders through our kindergarten students use iPads. They log on to Seesaw to access their learning activities. And our 3rd through 12th graders utilize laptops and access their learning on campus. We continue to develop training resources for teachers and staff. We've had students utilizing these systems in their in-person learning. And we will continue to provide support for parents who want to learn more about how to utilize these systems. Additionally, students should be able to access these programs by simply turning on the computer and logging on. Thus, they don't need to know how to log on to multiple programs, and they don't need to remember multiple passwords. The ICP does have several pages that describe the expectations that we have in place for our staff by role. It also includes information about strategies and actions that are really important for us to deliver solid remote learning. But perhaps one of the most important things I want to highlight is the ICP has specific learning schedules. And these learning schedules are provided by grade level so that every student, family, staff, or community member knows exactly what's expected during a remote learning day. Each learning schedule includes a live interaction and teaching within the school day so that students are able to connect with their teachers and to learn from them. It also provides opportunities for group instruction, for additional support for students who are struggling, and enrichment for students who need additional or deeper learning. It's important to note that remote instruction is not a replacement for in-person learning. And that when a school needs to be closed due to an emergency, it's really not appropriate for students and teachers to try to replicate a school day through a web camera. Instead, the remote school day will be a combination of those live instruction and check-ins, small group interactions, use of some software programs, and some independent learning activities. Students are expected to follow the schedule. They're asked to log in at the scheduled times, and that will help us to record their attendance during a remote learning day. Students who follow this schedule will definitely be able to have the support they need from their teachers and are most likely to be successful in continuing their learning at home. Of course, the success of our students' experience, especially in an emergency and during remote learning, really does depend on our partners, which are our families. To help families understand how to support their students when they're learning at home, the ICP has a number of resources, including information about remaining safe in an online environment and being a good digital citizen. There's information there about organizing a productive workspace at home, monitoring mental and social well-being, and working with children to learn from home. The ICP also has information about who to contact in the district for support and has links to many family resources. And of course, the ICP is translated into Spanish as well as our English. So moving forward, there are a couple of things that I think are important to consider. First, Any plan, as solid as it may be, can be improved as it's used. For example, we had a water line break at the high school, and we're needing to close the school for the day. As a result of some of our learnings that day, we've made some adjustments to the schedule to better be able to clarify the work that students are doing in the morning before they check in for their first class. It's also helped us think differently about the symbiotic relationship that we have between the high school and the junior high, and some adjustments that we needed to make for that in the ICP as well. I'd like to suggest that as we're looking at calendars, that we consider designating at least a day a quarter or trimester to utilize the ICP and better be prepared for remote learning. It would be a good idea for us to practice a remote learning day throughout the school year to make sure that we continue to stay prepared for an emergency. I want to express my appreciation to you as a board for your support in completing this task. This was a very complex piece to put together, but it has made us stronger because we understand now the things that we need to do to support students and families in an emergency. So I appreciate that and appreciate the work of many people who helped revise and provide input for the ICP. So thank you. Do you have any questions?
I have a couple questions.
No, none for me.
One really quickly about your practice, you want to do that, do you think it'd be ideal like district-wide or taking different schools and doing it, or different ages, doing all elementary schools or doing?
Yeah, I think that you could decide what was the best thing to do with the schedule. I just think that my point is that we need to practice.
Practice,
It
yeah,
probably shouldn't just be a plan that sits somewhere and then
right.
when we have to use
No,
it.
I think that makes sense. Not to be bus-wise, all of that.
Yeah, I think this is, I think it's great planning. I mean, it's pretty amazing how far we've come in whatever the 7 months since we shut down initially with regards to technology and access to different services. I think the question I have that I'm sure that is being looked at is kind of the trouble spots that we've learned in the last 7 months. So, you know, whether it's, you know, things like our outreach coordinators are seeing, so social issues, mental health, which seems to be a huge one, cybersecurity. You know, there's an article in the Tribune today that I don't know how you refer to it, but like trolling for children on the internet, the amount that the state and the FBI have found in the state of Utah is up 50% since COVID, because you have sexual predators who are sitting at home, and you have kids that are sitting at home online, and it makes a match that's incredibly dangerous. It's the largest spike they've ever seen in the state of Utah. So I think that, you know, things like that for our English language learners that are struggling, you know, what kind of resources do we need to give to our teachers and our outreach coordinators and our special ed teachers who are dealing with kids that are going to have an even harder time, so that we can continue to provide equity through this process. I mean, what do you need from us? And you know, I think it'd be great to hear kind of the next iteration of all these areas where we're seeing kids really struggle.
Yeah. So one of the things that is always a limiting factor for us is time, right? There's only so many hours in a day to try to accomplish and help people have all the resources they need. But more than that, to be able to utilize them in a way that's productive for students. The ICP in its early rendition has a lot of links to external places for families or for teachers to be able to access a lot of curriculum around digital citizenship. But as we move forward, we want to embed that into our overall district wellness plan to make sure that it becomes part of the competencies of students as they learn moving forward. The state of Utah is focused right now on the profile of a graduate, which is really a description of all of those characteristics that we want students to have by the time they leave our school system. And as we move forward, Park City will be looking at some benchmarks at different grade levels, also asking the question, okay, by the end of 3rd grade, what are those skills that are most important for our students to be able to know before we feel comfortable saying, hey, we've done everything we need to do to this point in the student's education. Those are some of the pieces that now we need to start embedding into our academic instruction, are those social emotional pieces that address what it means to be a good citizen and to learn in a way that is productive for students. It's difficult to be home, and it's difficult from home. So every resource that we can give to families and to students and then to try to replicate that learning in our school is probably the best thing we can do. So I think we're going to see, just as I said, this is a living, breathing document. I see this is going to just continue to grow as we understand more the actual needs that we have at home.
Dr. Hunt, I do have a question, and it's more from like the family point of view, but, working parents, I know the water main break had happened at the high school level, so childcare probably wasn't an issue, but at the lower grades, are there pods or, groups, that if there isn't school, these 6 kids are in the same class, they can get together at a designated house? Is there some sort of a protocol that can happen at home so that working people can still go to work? And keep the kids. I wrestle with that as a working mom, but what do we do for the community, for the families that are working?
Yeah, I think one of the things we have to acknowledge is that every emergency is going to present a different situation. There may be some emergencies where we would be able to have people in the school and have students be able to report and support them there. And there may be times where that just really isn't possible. So I think that rather than try to include all of that under the umbrella of one ICP, there are localized decisions that are going to need to be made with every emergency with those things in mind.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Dr. Holm.
Thanks, Dr. Hatch.
All right, Dr. Gilday, Superintendent.
Absolutely. Well, it is fitting we are together this week because it is American Education Week, which is recognized across the U.S. Began yesterday. And thank you so much for your generous donations of bagels to the school. I think everybody has been appreciating seeing all of you, and then a great treat. So thanks so much. Tomorrow is also Educational Support Day, as was mentioned earlier, and ESPs are represented by 9 career families, clerical services, custodial and maintenance services, food services, health and student services, paraeducators, security, skilled trades, tech services, and transportation services. So we do acknowledge and recognize everybody for their great work throughout the school year. And for the November report, while the world is incredibly stressful in a wide variety of ways in 2020, the most successful teachers and administrators have an almost myopic view of what they need to do. When we focus only on our students and meeting their needs right now, this year, then the external stressors, which can be overwhelming, melt away. This is the way educators have always survived. They make sure what they do with students each day makes a difference. As an administrator, my job is to make the realm of the teacher's responsibility smaller than the weight they naturally carry. We don't have to solve the crisis of the pandemic or the economic or social implications worldwide. We have to connect with kids by caring about them first and teaching them second. When we commit ourselves to doing those 2 things well, everything else can get worked out by everyone else. We can take comfort in knowing that the children and their education, which we have a great influence over, are well taken care of. From the preparation of returning to school last spring until today, stakeholder voice has been a key in our planning. 80 individuals worked on task force teams to build strategies for instructional continuity, the elementary school day, the secondary school day, wellness, and more. We continue to make ourselves available to all employees with any concerns, invested an incredible amount of enhanced layered mitigation equipment, including filtering, air scrubbers, UV light towers, additional sanitizing, educated all staff in effective classroom layouts and mitigation strategies. Classrooms are equipped with cleaning supplies and sanitizer. We have made adjustments where necessary to support all learners, such as maintaining early out for secondary school and moving to a half-day Friday. Teachers are working effectively with a half-day Friday to support students. We are keeping a close eye and careful contact tracing throughout the school year. We will continue to work with our state and local health department in implementing the Utah Department of Health School Manual. And we will work to continue to ensure our broader community recognizes the symptoms and signs of COVID-19. Believe it or not, some people are still not recognizing the symptoms. We do want to ensure folks remain at home when they're feeling under the weather. We know that our educators' focus must be on students and their academic, social, emotional, and behavioral well-being. We are fortunate to live and work in a community and with a school board who consistently, diligently supports our learning organization, our staff, and our most precious resource, our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gilday.
Thank
We will move on to 4.01 audit report. Mr. Halber.
We have completed our fiscal 20 audit, and we've come out looking pretty good. Squire's come and completed the work. Our financial statement has an unmodified opinion, which means it's a clean opinion. So that's good. We went through the federal compliance, or what's called the single audit. And again, we have an unmodified opinion on that as well. So a clean audit. And they also conducted the state compliance audit. And there also we have an unmodified opinion. So we have a clean audit this year on all fronts. We're looking pretty good. As we look at the financial resources available to the district as we close out last fiscal year, we have about $16 million in what we call the rainy day fund. So that's the economic stabilization fund and the unassigned money is added together. You take those two numbers. So that's a really good position. Our goal is to have 2 months operating expense, or about 16.7% in reserves. This puts us at about 20%. So we're well positioned for emergencies like what we're having right now, where we have those dollars available and can make the important decisions that we need to keep everybody safe and healthy. Our capital reserve closed out at $19.6 million. So again, that's available as we look at our implementing the master plan that we've been working with our community on. And our self-insurance fund will close out at did close out at $6.6 million. Again, our target there is to have 25% in reserves, and this is above that reserve level. So we're in good financial shape.
Excellent. Thank you, Todd. Great job again.
Thank you.
And Kara and I were on the audit committee, and as Todd mentioned, 0 exceptions to the report. So great result. Move on to 4.02, school calendar. Option A and option B are on board docs. We heard from Mr. Webb on PCEA's support of both options. Dr. Gilday, do you want to walk us through your thoughts?
Sure, so that's a good place to be, right? I think this is the first year I've been here where people said, hey, we're okay with any of these or both of these. So option A is very, very similar to this year. The reason we bring up an option B is because we wondered if our educators might like a couple of professional days sprinkled throughout the year to be able to have a full day to work on maybe changing stations, doing narrative grades, other kinds of outreach. But option A pretty much parallels what we did this year. The only unusual part is it does start with a Friday attendance. But then that keeps the 4 days of prep before students come ahead of the school year, which is what we normally done. Both plans do restore the 2 days for UEA. I think everybody will appreciate during the fall break the way they've been used to. So this is responsive to that. We do have the 3 days off for Thanksgiving, 2 full weeks off for winter break, 1 week of ski break, 1 week of a spring break, and then graduation, the last day of school, June 2nd. Option B, the shift is, as I said, it would be to insert a professional day rather than having everything up front. It would be spread out, so teachers would only have 2 or 3 days up front, depending on how the calendar lays out. And then days where we would have to work with Youth Sports Alliance and Community Ed and all kinds of things to try to make sure we have a place for kids to go. So option B is a little harder for a working parent. than option A. Option A keeps us flowing, all the way through, other than the major breaks that we're used to. But we're pretty, I think the committee was pretty happy, we've been pretty happy with either.
And your recommendation?
I'm really open. I thought since we presented them now, we could take any kind of input over these next several weeks, and then we'll just decide in December to see if we have any community strong opinions of those or educator opinions. But really,
Wendy, do you
we're
have any
happy
thoughts
with it.
either way?
No, I'd like to hear what teachers, educators feel.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, so
think
they're
either way, it
posted,
looks good.
they're posted, they'll remain posted, we can talk about it quickly next month and then just make a
Right.
decision and then publish it before winter break.
And Mr. Webb, your recommendation of A, was that personal or is there any consensus on PCE
That's
side?
personal.
Okay,
We would need to survey. So.
okay. Would you mind just doing a survey of both of those options?
Or if we want to, collaborate, we could survey all of the teachers.
Yeah.
Using
Yeah.
Qualtrics. and
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we will bring back some.
And then we can make this a decision item on 15th of December. Great. Maybe we can just do this one and mirror it for like 3 more years.
Right.
Get it
Yeah,
off the
right.
plate, right?
That would be great.
Okay. Open school enrollment recommendation. We have summary from the administration on board docs. The recommendation is to declare each school closed for 2020, 2021. I will entertain a motion to approve the recommendation to keep all schools closed in 2021, and then we can have some discussion.
I make a motion to approve recommendation as stated.
I second that motion.
Okay. Do we have any questions for administration or any discussion on this recommendation? And anything from you?
No, none for me, thank you.
Wendy, Aaron?
No.
Okay. All right, without, yes, Todd?
Just an observation.
Mhm.
The table that has open enrollment status has the wrong years. The
Yeah, I
numbers-
noticed
The numbers
that.
are good, but the years
Okay.
are off by 1.
Okay.
Yep,
Sorry.
That's all right.
Just for next week.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
21, 22.
That was
okay.
Yep, agreed.
my fault.
Yeah, it's as written here for 2022. Okay, all those in favor of approving the recommendation to remain closed for 2021, 2022, please say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. We have 6 policies for posting. We have policy, so I'll entertain a motion to post the following 6 policies. Policy 7130, sick leave incentive, policy 9015, patriotic education, policy 9026, vending, policy 9027, child nutrition policies and procedures, policy 9065, volunteers in the school, and 10,070, anonymity of student witnesses. I'll entertain a motion to post all 6 of those.
I make a motion to post all policies as read.
I second the motion.
Okay, do we have any discussion on any of these?
I did not.
I can share that,
None for me.
I can share these are really just updates, there are not substantive changes to any of them. But if any changes are recommended, that's what we take the input on, but these are literally just update, one policy was from 2011.
Yeah, a lot of them are 5-year cycle.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, all those approve of posting these 6 policies, please say aye.
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 Okay, those are all posted. We'll review those on December 15th. We have 2 policies that have been posted and are ready for adoption. We have policy 7096, LEA specific licenses, and policy 11,000, Family Education and Privacy Act. Todd, did we have any public comments on either of these policies?
I've not had any.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adopt both of these policies.
I make a motion to adopt policies as read.
I second the motion.
Okay, do we have any discussion on these 2 policies?
Do not.
And anything?
Do not.
Okay,
Nope, nothing.
all right, great. I'll entertain a vote to pass the motion on these 2 policies. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, those both pass. We will now get into public comment.
Can we take a quick
Yeah, actually, we'll do 2-minute break and then we'll come back.